The time back.
Wanted to get off to Zoom. Then we won't accidentally get blocked.
Yeah, well, and that's my worry. I was thinking, man, do we leave Zoom open? But boy, if we ever screwed up and had a hot mic during an executive, that's just not good. So
You mean again?
policy just probably just off Zoom every time. Are people still filing in? Okay, we'll continue to wait, make sure everybody can get back on that wants back on. Hmm? Are we close? Yeah. All righty, I guess we will start. Hopefully everybody's back in that wanted back in. Next item on our agenda is continued discussion regarding the interagency agreement amongst the Washington State Energy Site Evaluation Council and FSEC and Klickitat County for the purpose of providing reimbursement to the county for staff time. With that, I will open the discussion to my seatmates.
I don't take.
So as I remember it, this is a week ago, but Commissioner Christopher said that he cannot support it because of certain language that was in it. I wanted to make sure that I never saw anything that was the concerning language that Commissioner Christopher had. I wanted to ask and see if he had clarification. From what I had read, I didn't see how it binded us to anything, but Commissioner Christopher did bring up a couple of concerns that I wanted to make sure that we were able to address. And I know our planning director isn't here, who is kind of spearheading that. But in all, it's just a reimbursement agreement that I think would be good for us to have with the rest of this project moving forward, especially if they have to go through the long process and we have a lot of things to comment on.
Are you saying that the planning director was spearheading this reimbursement agreement?
I think between it was all the directors that were commenting on it, but it was I couldn't remember if it was the planning director or if it was really our staff that was going back and forth on the agreement. I know our staff was directing it, but the last time I remember, we'd send it off to all the different directors. And then that's what created the addendum for, what would and wouldn't be allowed. I know the Public Works Department had the issue with, whenever we do, if the project were to go through us, Public Works would be able to require them to do a traffic study and do a bunch of different things, the road haul agreement. Because it's going through the state, we can't require them to do a road haul agreement. And I don't think FSEC was willing to allow us to put that in there. If FSEC requires a road haul agreement or whatever, or a traffic study, they'll require that of the applicant. We can't require that of the applicant. It's just reimbursement for our costs, not reimbursement for subcontractor costs of what we would usually assume. But I think we still will have a fair amount of time spent on this project, especially as it moves forward. And I'd like to see us recoup as much of that as possible.
I don't disagree that I would like to be recouped. I just don't want to be put in a position where our FSEC is reaching out to our employees to provide plan review assistance. In other words, we're actually the ones working on this project to facilitate something that is now against county code, but we signed an agreement that we will facilitate and we will provide plan review assistance. I'm sure we will have input from Public Works and Planning and Emergency Management and whatnot. I guess I would say my concern is, are we signing a contract that we will provide assistance to FSEC and not we will provide assistance to our taxpayers as we go through this process? And to me, would I like the reimbursement for the $10,000-$20,000 we potentially spend in this? Because if we're not doing all of the work, the reimbursement is not going to be very high. The only reason it would be that high is if we're permitting it like we would permit it normally, which technically we shouldn't be. That should be FSEC doing it unless we sign this agreement that says we will be providing the plan review assistance and providing the on-site inspections. And so we're signing away that we're going to be doing all the work. And that's the big concern of mine over and above the other things that I've already pointed out. I do believe we will have a hand in this, but I'm not willing to sign off our county document that we will help them facilitate this project and do the permitting of this project so that FSEC doesn't have to, all for the sake of $20,000 in a reimbursement check.
I don't think FSEC would delegate that authority to us. I don't think they would ever want us to do their permitting for them. I think this is for us to do the review of what FSEC comes up with, as well as for what the applicant is proposing, kind of like we've already done. We just haven't gotten reimbursed from it when we put in our comments. I think we put in the PA opinion request to the prosecuting attorney's office, and they clearly said during their PA opinion request, this is just for reimbursement for the work that we do, reviewing what they've come up with, not us doing the work ourselves.
Well, and I think some of the key words there, Jake, in listening is I don't think, and that means we don't really know. And for me, with that document, it needs more definition. How big, how wide, how deep are we going to be working? And it doesn't define that, but it also limits the amount that they will get back for that. I'm not into signing something that ties us to the scope of work that changes because it's open, and then we're limited on the money we can recap. And I'm not into signing a document that says, well, let's recap something at least. I would rather look at, can we redefine some things in the agreement and ask that they reconsider?
So who wants to take point on this? I know I took point on because I had the experience with regards to the networking one and put in the comments. If one of you would like to work with Rebecca in the prosecuting attorney's office to define that better, I'm fully in support of it. The sooner, we've been working on this for a while, and I don't mind working on it longer. I don't know how much work we have coming up immediately. I know we're pushing forward our own public hearings because FSEC has an hearing coming up. So if one of you thinks we can get something together or work with the PA's office and get something for next week or the week after, I think we could still get that through.
I'll work on it and send a draft around for both of you to add comments, and then we could send it over to the PA. And I think we could get it done by the end of the week to send it back over. If that works for you, Mr.
It does and it doesn't. So you can work on it and come up with comments, but we cannot comment on your comments. That would be a serial meeting.
Okay.
So technically each commissioner can make comments and you can present them to the prosecutor, but we can't work outside of this room or comment on your comments. You can send us your comments as an advisory only, don't respond. And that doesn't violate a serial meeting. But if we have any kind of response at all, that would. So just make sure we're careful with that.
Okay.
Anything else, Mr. Anderson?
Nope. I didn't ask for this. I mean, I don't think I'll be sending in any comments because it's a reimbursement agreement. It's not an interlocal agreement. It can't tie us to do things. It's just for the work that we perform reviewing their documents, which I thought was pretty nice for FSEC to do because I don't think they're required to.
Yeah, I also won't be submitting any comments because I've already made my decision, but if Ms. Older needs more information or the document changed to meet her liking,
Well, and
open.
I don't even know if it's a time and effort thing, if FSEC will even consider any changes to that document.
We've
Uh,
made multiple changes. I think we're on the third or fourth iteration of exactly what that was. We kept going back to our directors asking, when we thought of, more issues
So-
that might
Right,
need.
and I guess that's one of my bigger concerns, because as this document was being shared with the directors, I had multiple phone calls from directors going, you really want us to sign on to this? And I'm like, well, yeah, it's just a reimbursement agreement, and they were having concerns, and then I read it and I'm like, oh, I see where you're coming from now. So I mean, if they're concerned, and some of them are concerned and I'm concerned, it just doesn't feel right to me. And when I get red flags going off in my head, I tend to slow down. And to me, yeah, it'd be nice to get reimbursed for the time we have in this project, but if the time this county has in this project is essentially calling into question FSEC's ruling, I'm pretty sure that's not why they're signing an agreement to reimburse us. If our arguments are going to be, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do this, you need to do this. That's not working and facilitating as stated in the language. So to me, this reimbursement agreement is a reimbursement agreement to play ball, and I don't want to play ball. So I won't be playing ball on this issue. And if the board so chooses, then it's the board's choice to do so. So, but me, I will not.
Well, and I'll commit to reaching out to FSEC staff and having some questions about their reimbursement agreement and what they see as negotiation points, or if there isn't any, then there's no point in me spending time on the document.
I would also encourage you to potentially reach out to some other counties that have went through the process and see if any of them have signed this document. And if they have, what did their document look like?
Okay.
Maybe compare, I mean, if you have that much free time in your busy schedule, I know I don't. So, I mean, if we
I'll stick it in.
met to talk about this again in a month, I would have the time to do all that research, but in a week, there's no way I can reach out and get other counties' documents and see what their language is and what ours is. And do I think that if we spend enough time on this, we would come up with wording that the board can get behind? Yes, but if we did that, I don't know that FSEC could get behind it, because it's not going to be facilitating what they want to facilitate. So then to me, it just kind of becomes a potential waste of time, and I have plenty of other 9 million projects working. So,
Well, and I can have an answer for you by the end of the week. I'll go through it and do some research.
that's it. It's
outside-
not
out of
like we
house.
don't have time, because they haven't ruled consistency yet. They haven't ruled anything. So we don't have anything to even respond to until after April 8th or August 8th. So, between now and August 8th, there's nothing for our staff to do. So it shouldn't necessarily need done in a week. So. Anything else from either of you on this topic?
Not for me.
Okay. Flying right along. What else do we have this morning that we can sneak into a board pending? There's one new thing on the afternoon business agenda that I will point out. The approval of the business agenda with one add-on. That add-on is going under old business. So when we do the agenda, we will move that item to old business. Other than that, I don't see any changes here that I need.
You're talking about the Twin Bridges?
Correct.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll discuss that under old business, and we'll do that at 2:30. According to my agenda here. Ba-dum.
I don't have anything else to add to the agenda. I would ask Commissioner Zoller, you attended the Water Conservancy Board hearing. How did that go? Or meeting, not hearing.
It was good. It was good. We had a discussion about the configuration of the Water Conservancy Board and its relationship to the county. And I committed to them to have some discussions with our auditor. It seems like there is misconception about what the board is and where it belongs, and that's been happening for quite some time. And there needs to maybe be a finite decision on that relationship of where information is housed, how meeting rooms are used. Are they a separate board from the county? So we need to cut some of those ties and make some of those separations for sure, to make sure they're separate in doing their business and the county is separate and covers our liability. And I had some questions that I've discussed with the auditor. And so we're just moving through that process to make their process real. And I think they appreciated that and they moved on with their meeting and I moved on with my work for the evening.
Thank you for the update.
Yep. Thank you for that. Just a reminder for you guys and staff. I will be leaving tomorrow for the insurance meeting up in Spokane, and I won't be back until Friday evening. So wish me well in hopes that we get a lower increase than I expect.
Right.
It's pretty bad when you're hoping for 17% increase in your insurance costs. Please only be 17. Any other topics for the good of the order under board pending? Don't see any. With that, before I entertain a motion, I would bring up to everybody online that we are having a retirement party downstairs at 3 o'clock for Miss Lee. If anybody would like to come over and attend, you're more than welcome. Nothing else on the good of the order. I'd take a motion to adjourn for lunch.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to recess for lunch.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to recess. Thank you, sir. Good catch for lunch. And be back at 1 o'clock. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
No different.
See the button. All right, we are live. So we will start our afternoon business meeting of the Klickitat County Board of Commissioners. Let the record show all 3 commissioners are present, 2 in the chambers and 1 on Zoom. With that, we will open with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you, everyone, for that. We'll move on to the business agenda. I would entertain a motion on the business agenda in the add-on. Is he trying to find a mute button or are you gonna do it? Oh,
So if I'm doing.
I can do it. I will step down as chairman and make the motion. The motion would be to approve the business agenda with 1 add-on that we will do under old business at 2:30, being a request for a verbal approval from the Twin Bridges Historical Museum in Lisle to amend their scope of work for their historical preservation grant, which entails painting for anybody that wants to know.
I will second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the business agenda with the 1 add-on. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on, we are on to commissioner meeting minutes. So since. Okay, go for it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion.
Microphone.
Oops.
There we go.
A motion to approve the county commissioner meeting minutes for June 27th, 2023.
I will second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from June 27th, 2023. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor of approval of the minutes of June 27, 2023, say aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We are now on to citizen comment. Citizen comment is limited to 3 minutes. At the start of your time, please give your name and general location in the county. Yep. General location where you reside in the county, so we know. Please leave your comments or make your comments pertinent to county business or things that are happening inside the county and not federal politics or any other weird things. With that, we will start in the room. I will also advise that everybody gets one time to make comments, so feel free to use your whole 3 minutes. If you only use 2 minutes, it doesn't mean you get a minute later. Each person gets one time, and then the commissioners will have a chance to respond to comments that they choose at the end at 1:25-ish or so. With that, we'll open it up for citizen comment. We always start in the room first. We have somebody in the room that wants to comment now, or do you want to wait for a while and comment in a minute? All right, we have one come forward. Make sure those microphones are green, sir. State your name and general location for us.
My name is Anthony Rizzi. I come here today to introduce myself to the Board of County Commissioners. As a lot of you know, Don McDermott passed away several months ago. At that time, I had taken over, so I am the new chairman for the Dallasport Murdoch Community Council. And I think it was high time for me to come up here and introduce myself to you so that when we can correspond, you'll know who to throw the darts at. So anyway, but I just do appreciate being asked to fill this position, and I'm looking forward to making Dallasport Murdoch and all of Klickitat a better place to live. So that's why I just wanted to be here to say hi.
Okay, thank you, sir, and thank you for your public service serving your community. That's always important.
You bet.
We'll go online. Anybody online have a citizen comment for the Board of Commissioners? Please raise your hand or unmute yourself. See if I knew she was zooming in out of where the tie. Get a little more close up with two of us up here. Anybody online have a citizen comment? Please unmute yourself, raise your hand. Get our attention somehow. If not, I'll go back in the room for, okay, Kathy's coming. What you got for us this week, ma'am?
Oh, wow. Kathy Moko Goldendale. Last Thursday afternoon, I was at 3:20 minding my own business, watching TV, and the phone rang, and it was the Klickitat County Sheriff's Office recording, telling me that I'm in a stage 2 evacuation for a fire, and I went, oh. So proceeded to look out the window and then drive down the street, and this is a fire that was out on Pine Forest Road, and it was amazing. I mean, the amount of fire trucks that went by in the next hour were, you just heard siren after siren after siren. And then watching, there were a minimum of 2 helicopters with buckets. Then 4 matching little, they appeared to be seaplanes, but they were red and white fire planes. I think they land in the river, scoop the water up in the pontoons, and then these 2 giant planes, which I do not know what they were. Somebody said maybe retardant. Anyway,
The bigger air tankers, you mean?
yeah, I mean, they were big planes, and there were 2 of them, and they were together. And these little planes would go over the top of my house, 4 at a time. And anyway, it was just amazing what went on in the response. I mean, it was, and I watched the way the wind was blowing and determined that I need not evacuate my house, but it was something else. And driving out there the next day to look, you could see where it started on Knight Road and then just burned through. And it was really impressive, but the response of the county, and I've heard that some of these other planes came from like Moses Lake and other places, but it was, they did a really good job. Very, very neat. And we were lucky.
Yes. Yes, I will definitely have comments on that. Anybody else online have a citizen comment for the Board of Commissioners today? Raise your hand or unmute yourself. We've been seeing a couple new names. I'm not seeing anybody. We'll hop back in the room. Anybody in the room right now have citizen comment? Oh, we have one online. WJ Morris. Now is a perfect time for public comment, sir. Go ahead. Are you unmuted, sir?
Yes, good afternoon. WJ Morris, Dallasport, Washington. My comment is for Lee Snell. And I so appreciate you. I have always said this to you privately, that on behalf of Klickitat County taxpayers and residents, you were always valued. You provided excellent value for your paycheck to the county on behalf of all Klickitat County residents and taxpayers. I always said that to you privately, and I'm going to miss you. And I think Klickitat County residents are going to miss you too. But I want you to hit the gas and go have some fun in your retirement. I really appreciate you. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you, WJ. I wish you good luck too in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
What a good public comment for today. Thank you, WJ. Anybody else in the room have public comment for the Board of Commissioners? We'll go back online. Anybody online have citizen comment for the Board of Commissioners? I'm not seeing it. If you do have citizen comment in the room or online, please raise your hand or unmute yourself. We will be happy to take your comment. It's always nice to know what the public is thinking. Until then, I guess I'll respond to Kathy since we have, whoop, there we go. Somebody popped up 2662. Are you wishing to give public comment with phone number 2662?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you say it was my turn. Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is Tracy from Lyle, Washington. And I had a couple questions about on the agenda today that you have on the agenda. And hopefully you can say what this is, but with the parcel number in Lyle that there's a short plot on, I cannot find that where that's at on the county map or by the treasurer's parcel search. And I just wondered if you could maybe give an address or something so that we can identify what that is. I spent quite a bit of time searching for it, and I don't know why. Maybe it's just me, but I wasn't able to find it. And
what parcel are you describing now?
Oh, I'm sorry. The one that the short plot parcel number 03-13-1812-070400 section 18 T13E WM in the Lyle vicinity.
We don't have a short plat on our agenda today. We have a boundary line adjustment in the White Salmon vicinity.
Oh, this says memorandum for the planning department to schedule a public meeting to be held in the board of
Got it.
county
Okay.
commissioners meeting room.
Yep.
Yeah, is that,
Okay, so it's a, yeah, it's a posting for a public hearing to be done at a later date. Is what you,
okay.
okay, got it. Perfect. So
But
now I know what you're
we're-
talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, do you have an address for that piece of land?
The only address we have is what is in the packet, and it's a property number, I believe.
Parcel number or a,
Yeah, I believe it's a parcel number. I would have to go back through and reread that packet to see if there's something else.
I'm not sure. about the-
okay, well. Yeah, possibly you could email me. I did send you an email today, Mr. Christopher, and maybe you could just attach that information to that when you respond to the email.
It's just.
And then,
There's no packet.
It's not
Oh.
in the packet itself. Yeah. So I have nothing. It's just a memo that the public, the planning commission or planning department is asking for a public hearing to be held. It's just a memo with the forms to hold the public hearing and doesn't give us any more information on it than what is actually in the consent agenda itself, which just lists the parcel numbers.
okay, but those parcel numbers, I'm unable to locate on the parcel map. Is there another way to know where that property is?
They can call me.
They can, we have the assessor in the room. And
Okay.
she said she would be happy to take your phone call and she will tell you where the property is.
Okay, all right, I'll give her a call this afternoon. And hopefully that conversation didn't take up my 3 minutes because I just had a brief, couple other things.
It did, ma'am, but since I had a little bit of time, I'll give you another, I talked a little bit, I'll give you about 20 seconds.
Okay, well, I might need a little longer than that, but, okay, so the resolution, it says, a resolution in the matter of public hearing to be held the Board of Commissioners, meeting August 8th, to consider resolution 04293. Where can a person find that resolution? I tried to search on your agenda meetings thing, and I couldn't find it, and I couldn't find it online. Is there a meeting or something that was attached to?
I would, I guess I would leave it to staff to correct me if I'm wrong, but when we have that public hearing or public meeting, all those documents will be included in the packet that will then be available to the public and the board the Thursday before the meeting.
On what day before the meeting? I'm sorry, Thursday before?
Yeah, the clerk always posts the packet with the agenda and all the documents. You guys get it on the Thursday. I get it at the exact same time on the Thursday before the Tuesday meeting is when all the documents are usually posted.
Okay, and if you can, in the commenting section, maybe you could just say what that is. I could make sense of it for policies for providing district judicial services to municipalities, the Klickitat. In layman's language, maybe you can just briefly describe what that is for.
To update the county code.
Yeah, that was our clerk saying it's an update to county code. We currently have judicial services in place in the county, but they have not been updated or any CPI is given to them over the last who knows how many years. So we updated the fees that the jurisdictions pay for judicial services. That's the answer to that one. With that, thank you for your questions, ma'am. And we will go back, let's go back in the room. I need to switch my computer over. So in the room, anybody else have citizen comment for the Board of Commissioners? Not seeing it. We'll go back online. Anybody online have citizen comment for the Board of Commissioners today? God, you zoom in, my head gets really shiny. Sherry, come on, Sherry. Name and general location for the record, please.
Sherry in Houston, the lady from Houston. I just wanted to say that I appreciate your guys' work. You've been paying attention to what is happening with the state FSEC agency. And I do see what you guys are doing and how you are taking note and paying attention to details of the state agency. So I want to thank you on a local level for taking on the state agency task and trying to untangle it. I see it's quite the feat, and I appreciate not entertaining that agreement that I heard you weren't gonna do right now, and we have a long way to go to untangle what's being done to our county. And so I do see what you guys are diving into, and I appreciate it. Yeah, both Commissioner Christopher and Commissioner Lori, I'm sorry, Zoller. So I noticed I said two commissioners. So in anyway, and I would also like to publicly thank Lee. She has been a shining person, and I know that we have done probably more than her like of public records requests, but she has always provided them in a quick manner and in a professional manner. And I believe that she was a great asset to our tax dollars at work in this county. She always got her job done on a timely manner. And I do appreciate that. And I think that she will be well missed. And I wish that our new Miss Grumbles a lot of luck. And I hope that she feels strong and coming into this, which is I could say is a very hard position in this county. I mean, this is your clerk for the three commissioners, and this is a very important position. So I again wanted to publicly thank Lee for her prompt services, her kind services, and she will be missed by me as well. And I look forward to working with Ms. Grumbles in the future. And so hopefully I had nice things to say today, like Kathy. And I don't always want to bash things, sometimes the people out here like want to talk about things we want to see done and stuff. But I did want to mention that I see what you guys are diving into and the web that has been tangled in front of you. I appreciate that. And I more than ever appreciate Lee's hard work. And I think she will be well missed in this county. And I wish her a lot of adventures ahead. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ms. Busquet, and thank you for your very kind comments towards staff. They are much appreciated. And we agree. She will be very much missed, and we don't know if we're going to let her leave, but that's a separate hostage discussion that might happen later today. Anybody else in the room or online have a citizen comment for the Board of Commissioners today? I'm hearing none. Well, I won't end citizen comment, but I have a feeling we might have a longer board reaction than normal. So we'll start board reaction now, and then in between each commissioner, we'll also go check and see if there's anybody else out there that still wants to speak. I guess I'll take the prerogative to go first and thank Mr. Rizzi for making the drive all the way up here when Zoom was plenty adequate for me if you would have wanted to stay on Zoom this morning. I do try to pay attention to who's online, even if they're not speaking, I can at least see who's watching. But it's much appreciated to come up and introduce yourself to the board for those of you, the people here that may not know you. Kathy, yeah, that fire was kind of scary. For me anyway. I look at that whole area up there in Pine Forest as a tinderbox. And if that would have got into the timber and stayed into the timber, we'd have had some major problems. So it's very nice that all the crews responded. They all have policies like, at Centerville, we don't send more than 2 vehicles outside our jurisdiction, just so there's a fire in our jurisdiction. But it's very hard to sit back and do nothing because you're not on one of those trucks. So I said I wasn't. Anyway, yeah, I also want to thank all the firefighters that worked on that in the emergency response crews and our employees for going above and beyond and getting that thing out before it created some major issues. I did hear a couple of what I would concern problems with that problem residents during that fire, but I don't want to rain on the parade of all the good people that did good work on that. So, and then shortly after yours, there was a fire right over by me. So over on Horseshoe Bend that had us all up in arms and concerned over there. So once again, thanking our fire crews for that. WJ, again, thank you for your comments again about staff retiring. We all agree here. She will be sorely missed. Tracy, I will look at your email and let you know I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. Sherry, yes, thank you for your comments. We all agree with you, and it seems like every time we think we're getting caught up on our projects, new things pop up. So like with this fire, I don't know if you were on this morning with Public Works, but we don't have anything in place on a county level that is a policy for evacuations and where we're evacuating people to, or where they're evacuating their livestock to. And is that the fairgrounds? Is that not the fairgrounds? What if the fairgrounds is already in lease? I don't understand how this county does not have an evacuation policy worked out and in place, but apparently we don't. So yeah, that is, I think, going to be this board's one of our top concerns moving forward, to hopefully get some groundwork laid on that so we can be a little more knowing what we're going to do for evacuees when and if this happens again. So yes, every day is a learning day, and every day adds something new to our plate that we have to fit into our schedule and prioritize. And I appreciate your understanding with that today, knowing that we can't get to everything every day. So thank you for that. With that, that is, well, I will spend my last comment thanking Miss Lee myself. It's been fun. It's been interesting, and I very much appreciate that when I came in, I may not have been the chosen candidate. I may not have been the person that the majority of even staff wanted to see. I'm not putting names on you by any means for this. But you know, staff tends to feel more comfortable with status quo than change, because change is scary. And I will say you were always there. You never opinionated, you never had any bias, you were always there to help and answer my questions and get me dialed in and without opinion or prejudice, and that is that's very thanked on my end. So man, thank you. And that will conclude my comment. Sorry I took up too much time. Next.
Okay, I guess you're looking at me. So yeah, thank you, Kathy, for your comments. Something that struck me about that too was, I don't live in Goldendale. I work here. I live outside of Goldendale. Was the sense of community during that time. This is an awesome place to live. And I saw the same thing, people running to help people, everybody assisting everybody, whether you're a professional firefighter or on the DNR crew, or whether you were just a community member. It was a very big effort, and everybody went at once. And I think we have to be very, very thankful that we've negotiated a deal with Department of Natural Resources, and they are in Dallasport now. And they're so much closer for us. I've seen 2 times personally where that quick response with the air crews and their crews, I think, have saved us. We haven't had a long gap in between time of helping out the local firefighters. DNR's gotten to be here quickly. So we should be very thankful for that. And WJ, thank you for calling in for Lee. I have to agree. We're going to all miss Lee. And it's been a lot of years, Lee. I remember when you first came in and sitting behind that desk with Chris. And it's been an amazing journey. I'd like to hear all your stories someday through all the commissioners that you've served. And you've probably seen just about everything. And you always handle us very graciously, but stern sometimes. And I'm thankful for that, because sometimes we really mess up, but Lee has the history and the background. She's been able to keep us on track, I think. So, and I appreciate your work with handing us our next Lee. So, and I think she's ready. You've done a good job getting her ready, and I've seen the work you've put into it. So, but we aren't going to let you go far. And Tracy, be sure to reach out to the assessor's office. She's awesome to work with, and I'm sure she can help you with that.
I just was looking up, and the resolution sheet, can't find, it's in the packet right now.
Okay.
So the resolution, Tracy, if you're still on that you were looking for, the clerk says it's in the packet. You should be able to find that online with the rest of that. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. And I'm done. I'll hand to Jake.
Hey, Jake, do you have any comments, Commissioner Anderson?
I always like going last. There's not a whole lot left to say since you guys do a great job, but thank you, Mr. Rizzi, for coming up. It's great to put a name to a face. Kathy, thank goodness that fire didn't go any worse than it did. And to WJ and Sherry, we agree wholeheartedly. Lee has done an amazing job for this county. She has put a lot of her life's efforts into helping this county be what it is today, and we all appreciate her. And we invite you to the appreciation at 3 o'clock if you'd so choose. Miss McCune, I looked up that parcel number. That parcel number is up off of Fisher Hill Road. Make sure when you're on the parcel map, you're going to the search that allows you to search for parcel numbers, not just that other search. And I would also like to note for my seatmates, that is one of those parcels that we've been hearing about, that Paul Letter continues to come in talking about development. That is just a couple parcels away from his. And so that was something for us all. In terms of the resolution, yes, Tracy, that is our district court costs. That is what the cities need to reimburse the county for providing the district court services that the county is not required to provide for municipal court services, but it saves the cities a bundle of money every year. And so we're just updating that policy, ensuring that the county has indemnification as well as the rates that the cities pay to adequately provide for the small portion of those costs. And with that, sir, I would yield back the rest of my time.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. We do have 2 minutes. I will go back out citizen comment one more time. To see if any members of the public have any citizen comment that they would like to claim the last 2 minutes of our citizen comment period. Raise your hand, unmute yourself in the room or online. I'm not seeing it. But I would also echo my seatmate, Ms. Zoller's comment of they also correct us when we need to be corrected. I very much appreciate that. And I hope our next clerk doesn't mind doing the same. It's always been kind of an open relationship where, since I can't talk to my seatmates, I can go in and talk to the clerk and brainstorm things that are going through my head or just vent. And as commissioners, we need that somebody to vent to. So unfortunately, you're going to be assuming some of that mantle. But Lee always did a very good job with that. And then also, you know, slapping us back into shape when we kind of were getting off the rails a little bit too. So that's your job now. And feeling free to interrupt us when we're getting off the rails in here, or say, hey, turn your mic on.
Commissioner Christopher, I would also, because we've been talking about wildfires, everyone, for the community and for my seatmates, we have our wildfire protection plans, countywide, and then individual plans underneath it. And another thing that it's worth looking at is our comprehensive emergency management plan that delineates, you know, powers and resources and whatever else. I was a part of building that CMP way back when, and I always had the questions like, this is great, you know, to sit on a shelf, but where to actually send people to, you know? So those discussions, I think, are definitely valid, but it'd be great for everyone to review those before we start into this conversation on a workshop about, you know, the fairgrounds, whatnot.
Right. I agree. Yeah, because when I was looking through them, God, it's some time ago now, I was finding documents for continuity of government. I mean, we all know that if the president gets assassinated, the vice president, you know, in the chain of who takes office, that same thing is in place here. And I thought it was kind of interesting. So with that, we are done with citizen comment. Thanks everybody for commenting today. And thanks everybody for saying and being so nice and caring today on Lee's last day, and hopefully making it a joyous and pleasant experience for her as she goes out the door. Next week, rules are off. You can go back to whatever you want to say. With that, we will move on at 1:30 for public hearings, public meetings, and bid openings. Today, we have a public meeting to consider the approval of a boundary line adjustment, BLA 2022-19 in the White Salmon vicinity. Applicant Norris Merritt and Julie Salcido.
Hello,
And we will start with a brief staff update.
so this is for boundary line adjustment for boundary line BLA 202219. Boundary line adjustment is a proposal to adjust the common property line between parcels 03102319050200 and 03102307030500 off of Sterling Boulevard. The proposed boundary line adjustment is located within a portion of section 23, township 3, range 10, the Willamette Meridian, Klickitat County, Washington, in the White Salmon vicinity. The administrative review for this boundary line adjustment has been completed. Signatures have been obtained from Road, Health, Planning, and Treasurer's Office. All conditions attached to the preliminary approval have been met. If the board finds that it is in the public's interest to approve the boundary line adjustment, a motion will be needed to grant final approval for BLA 202219.
Okay, thank you for that. Does do my seatmates have any questions or comments or concerns or anything on this?
I don't have any.
No, I don't either.
I don't either. I would entertain a motion unless people need me to read the motion, and then I will read the motion.
I've got my glasses. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the boundary line adjustment BLA 2022-19 in the White Salmon vicinity.
I will second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve BLA 2022-19. Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
I,
motion passes.
I do have a comment on the addressing. Short plats don't get addresses assigned to them at the time of a short plat. It's something that is done at the time of development.
I don't know if Tracy, if you heard that out there, apparently short plats don't get addresses at the time of the short plat. They get addresses, physical addresses at the time of development. Thank you for that educational piece of tidbit. I'll try to remember it next time, even though
Mhm.
there's a lot of tidbits floating around in there, so it may fall out.
It's not accurate, just like the boundary lines aren't accurate, it's just informative, so the best way to. Where it also is just person. Speak mention that.
Thank you.
That makes sense to me. I know my parcel's off. Because it's like you look at the boundary line and my property like goes out in the middle of the street. As opposed to following anywhere near the fence line. I mean, it's off 4 feet. Kind of scenario, but. It's
Well-
it's a tool.
And when
Correct.
you check into that program, there is a disclaimer too.
Right.
That it's for planning purposes only.
It is a wonderful tool for all the things I've ever used.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So I don't break it, crease it. and Get in trouble. All right. Next up, we have a public hearing to consider amending Klickitat County Code, Chapter 3.17 titled Open Space Taxation Act to modify the application fee for the classification of land, misspelling there, under Chapter 84.34 and 84.33 RCW, and allow any interested party to comment for or against the proposed amendments. So with that, I will declare the public hearing now open, and I will allow for the assessor to give us a brief update if she so chooses.
Thank you. Just real quick, through analysis, it was determined that the increasing recording costs have our current application fees will no longer be satisfactory in covering that cost and staff time. So with the proposed changes, we have built in kind of a mechanism where the increase in recording costs every couple of years through legislature will cover that. So we would just like to make sure that our staff time is being taken care of with the minimal $150 base fee for a single parcel plus $50 per parcel for each additional parcel on the application, plus the current recording costs that's published by the auditor. And that's my
So-
proposed.
Clarification, right now, they're all lumped together and we're kind of separating, right? So we're controlling this number and then the document recording fee is a state assigned number.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I understood it correctly. That's good. With that, we will open the public hearing to public testimony, both in favor and or opposed to amending the Klickitat County Code, chapter 3.17 or section 3.17.060. Anybody in the room have public comment for or against this change? Seeing none. Anybody online want to have public comment on this public hearing for or against this change to the separation of the taxing, well, what we just discussed? Still seeing none. I will give it a second in case anybody changes their mind. We'll go last call. Any citizen comment in the room or online have public comment for or against this change to our code? All right, we'll move on. Does the board have any questions or clarifications of any of the public comment that we did not get, or any public or any comments or questions of the assessor?
None here.
No.
All righty, I'll go one more time for public comment. Open it up for public comment one more time. Last time, anybody in the room or online have public comment for or against this proposed change? Doesn't shock me. It's pretty straightforward. So no comments for the record. With that, I will close the public hearing to further public testimony and open it to discussion from the board. Any discussion from the board on this action at all?
Are you ready for a motion, Chairman?
Yeah, I don't have any. I would just say for the record that I don't have any problem with this change that the assessor is proposing. It seems logical, especially when the document recording fees are set by the state and kind of are putting us against a wall. But yes, I'm ready to entertain a motion if there's no further discussion.
None for me.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve resolution amending Klickitat County Code, chapter 3.17, section 3.17060 to modify the processing fees for classification of land under chapter 84.34 and 84.33 of the RCWs from $350 of base application fee for a single parcel application plus $50 for each additional parcel in the application to $150 base application fee for a single parcel application plus $50 for each additional parcel in the application, plus the recording fee as published in the current fee schedule by Klickitat County Auditor at the time of application. The resolution to amend chapter 3.17 will become effective January 1st, 2024.
And I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve that most eloquently worded motion to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do we have a third out there, Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Perfect. 3 times the charm, motion passes. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you for all of the documentation that you provided for our packet. That makes my life easier.
No problem.
Are my seatmates good with the consent agenda?
I am.
I'm good.
Yep.
Mhm. So would you like a motion?
I would entertain one.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda with 11 items.
I will second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with 11 items. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of consent agenda with 11 items, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. We have bills somewhere.
Maybe down here. Yes.
Winter chicken dinner.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the accounts payable warrants in the amount of $269,901.36 for the date ending July 17th, 2023.
I will second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to pay the bills. Any discussion on the bills? I don't have any either. I looked through them once again today and they're all hunky dory. I made a few comments earlier about that, but. With that, all those in favor of approving the weekly bills and the amount listed in the motion, say aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. We have Gorge Commission update at 2 o'clock and they are not in the room, but I don't know if they are online and prepared to go early or
Said they would be here in
person.
person.
Got it. Okay. Then we have a little bit of time to kill until they show up, unless we want to move forward with the add-on, which is old business in the Twin Bridges scope of work.
Yeah, we could get it done.
What's that?
Yeah, let's move forward.
Okay,
Sure.
she's coming around. Oh, there's some phones in the chair. If anybody was here giving public comment and left their 2 cell phones on the seat, they might want to come forward and give us $5 a piece for them.
So, Twin Bridges Museum in Lyle, their scope of work has changed because of having a contractor come in and give them a bid. It includes the paint and labor, so they just wanted to change the wording on their scope of work because that's what the bill will show. The, I guess the painter buys it in bulk.
There she goes. She just ran down the stairs.
And so just wanted to get verbal consent to go ahead and I will submit that amendment next week on the consent agenda.
So it's just for clarification, they originally asked for the dollars to cover paint,
Yes,
and now they're asking for it to cover paint and painting for the same dollar amount.
correct.
Correct. Okay, any problems from my seatmates on
No.
allowing said change?
I'm in favor of it coming up to the consent agenda next week.
Okay. I don't have any problems with it too. Bring on the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Yep. You're not coming back, is she?
No.
Oh,
Make her walk there. Then
doesn't have her phone to get her email.
I say I wanted to go out and scream over the rail, but that would be a little odd. With that, for everybody online, we're just waiting around at 2 o'clock. We have Columbia River Gorge Commission Executive Director giving an update and our appointee to the Gorge Commission. But they are going to be here in person at 2 o'clock. So when they get here, they get here. And until then, we have a little bit of dead airwaves. So if you don't hear anything, that's why. But we will keep the
No.
session open unless there's something we need to talk about or discuss. Oh, she stole the green one and took, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I'm not allowed to have that green one.
Well, I'm just looking to see. I gotta keep it organized.
Hi, Billy, how are you? Crazy to see you so soon.
We should have just.
Come back
hit 'em.
anytime.
Oh, you're right. I don't need this one. This is all you.
I can let my seatmates know. I had a phone call from a gentleman coming back. He was coming back on Friday night from one of the events in Trout Lake and ended up hitting a cow on 141. They're south of the Red Barn, and he was wondering why that area is open range rather than stock restricted, considering, you know, that's a state highway going up there. I said I had mentioned I'd bring it up to my seatmates, and it might be something we want to have a conversation with the local community council about, but I mean, most of the land in Klickitat County is open range of some sort.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of always had the same question about 97 coming up the grade. Is it's open range too? And God, the last place you want to hit cows on a state highway, but yeah, that is what the previous boards chose to do. And so far, I don't know that anybody's petitioned for changing that.
How far down is the Red Barn from Trout Lake?
It's, you know, the cutoff for Sunnyside Road.
Yeah.
Right in the area.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know, it's open range all the way through Trout Lake, through the town, all the way up into the timber. I remember, you know, we in the 70s, 80s and 90s, a bunch of people used to range cattle up there on the Forest Service ground, but I don't know about it anymore. I don't know how the farmers, you know, in Trout Lake would feel about making that a stock restricted area. You know, a lot of that comes down to liability. If you hit a cow, who's liable for the accident? So
Yeah,
it was a
that's
long conversation with him.
I think that would be the same question with the 97 is whose cow is getting hit and who's liable is essentially the reason why those stock restrictions went into effect when they went into effect. So it would definitely be some very interesting vocal meetings. Yeah, I would say it happens over here once every 2 or 3 years on the curves there in 97.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. The other one is, I don't know if my seatmates got, but we have an application for the Nuisance Board of Appeals, and I forgot to add it to the agenda. I believe we only have one applicant from District 1. Nobody else that I contacted filled out an application. If you guys would entertain, I wouldn't mind putting for the consent agenda next week, the appointment of Joanna Turner for the Nuisance Board of Appeals.
I guess my answer is it's your district and your appointment, sir. And I respect your choices. With that, I would also add that I think she's fully qualified and capable of doing the job. The only concern I had was that attendance would be hard if we didn't do it electronically. And I guess I'd say it's hard for me because I think if you're hearing public testimony, it's much more powerful and genuine in person than it is electronically, but we shouldn't let someone's location hinder whether they should be able to serve on a board or not. But that was one of my kind of concerns with that. But technically, for the record, I have absolutely zero problems with the appointment you're recommending.
And I agree. And I would encourage her to try to, you know, I don't think they meet very often, but if that changes, to try to do a few of those in person if she can. It's a whole different working experience to get to know your seatmates and to work with them in person and to take the public testimony.
That's me. I can't imagine there's going to be more than 1, maybe 2 days a year. So if she can drive, I really would love to see that. But if she can't,
yeah,
you know, we still need a diverse board, and this really sets up a diverse board. So I totally understand if she can't too.
And I would just mention that, you know, I expect that the Nuisance Board of Appeals would have those hearings on Zoom so that maybe the person who makes the appeal can still testify if they don't have the means or method to drive. So while I agree, it's always great to be in person. It's a brand new world.
Yeah, it's just hard to teach us old dogs new tricks. Yep, I look forward to seeing that on the agenda next week, sir, for the consent agenda. With that, if anybody out there listening wants to sign up to be on one of our many citizen advisory boards, the applications are online along with all the boards and what they do, and throw your name into the hat. All right, I think all these are signed. If you would like to pass them on so they can double check. Did it again.
Thank you.
We did it again. That's like document.
What's that? Fix it.
All right, I'm gonna let you have the option. Once I sign the first page, I scribbled it out and said no. Give you the option to do whatever you want to do with yours.
Thank you. It's not the first few pages.
I did this once before and they just had to change the signature sheet, but. All righty, beat the Buddha judge. Seems like once a week we're sending a letter for the bridge to somebody.
I can let everyone know, I just got an email that it looks like Senator, oh, no, I forgot.
Congressman.
Senator Merkley's office is going to move forward with $4 million as well, and the congressionally directed spending. So between Dan Newhouse and Merkley, I don't know if that's 8 or if that just guarantees us the 4. So I've got an email out on that. I was hoping to have an answer. But either way, that's $4 million that we don't have to pay locally, and that's $4 million of toll increases we don't have to put forward.
Well, hopefully it's 4 and 4, because it'd be
Yeah.
nice to see Oregon get closer to matching what Washington's already done.
I mean, technically speaking, Oregon put 20 million towards the bridge this biennium. Washington only put 15. So in terms of cash moving forward, Oregon's ahead so far.
Right, but I'm looking at I guess what they've pledged.
Yes, Washington also had a transportation package that we're all paying for right now in our new gas tax prices that makes a big difference. Oregon put that out of their lottery dollars. So hopefully 2025, we will get that big transportation package out of Oregon that will make up all the difference.
Right.
Where Washington still has to come up with $50 million more that wasn't included in the transportation package. So that's way to go, Oregon, way to go, Senator Merkley and Newhouse. We're moving ahead. These are not insignificant dollars, and it's setting us up for success when we go through the big dollars for the federal grant programs. So
Which is the letter to Pete Buttigieg today. So
I think that's technically for another one we're going for, and we've got another grant we're looking to submit here shortly as well. So there's a lot of different dollars coming, especially with the multimodal grants. So with the $3 million grant we just received, hopefully that will line us up for hopefully what I would hope a 25 or $50 million grant for that bike ped lane. Because, you know, that's a $50 million cost on that bridge, thereabouts approximately.
Is there any chance that that bridge gets built without a bicycle ped lane?
Not if you want to have any grant dollars.
That's what I thought. Because I'm getting concerned citizens complaining of why we're spending 15 million on a bike ped lane, which I don't necessarily disagree with them. But yeah, if you want federal money, you're building everything as a toll bridge and you're building everything with a bike ped lane, and that's what you get to get federal money, the way is my understanding. So price of doing business.
Yeah, well, and the other good thing about it is right now it's designed to be at a size that the bike ped lane could be made smaller, either to save costs, or it could be made smaller so that we get a third lane 30 or 40 years in the future if we ever need it.
We have everybody here now, I think. Do you guys have everybody you need for your, okay, perfect. We will start 2 minutes early then. Next item up is 2 o'clock is scheduled for miscellaneous reports. It is the Columbia River Gorge Commission. Executive Director, and I'm gonna butcher your name, so I'm gonna talk very slowly until you can get to the mic and help me with the last name. I'm still talking slowly.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Christina Volniakovsky, Executive Director of the Columbia River Gorge Commission.
And good afternoon.
Volniakovsky.
Volniakovsky. The W is like a V.
I'm gonna apologize every time we go forward.
Christina is fine. Thank you.
Christina, perfect.
Commissioner.
Thank you. I'll be Dan. We're perfect. And go ahead.
Chair Christopher and Commissioners Zoller and Anderson, thanks for your invitation for us here today. I'm Valerie Fowler, your representative as your commissioner on the Gorge Commission. And it's delightful to be back, especially on a day where we're all celebrating Lee's retirement. Oh my goodness gracious, how you let that happen is beyond me. She's just been a delight to work with in a very short period of time, and I know she will be well succeeded by her wonderful deputy, if I've got that positioning right. But thank you very much for inviting us back. As you will recall, I've had the opportunity now to participate virtually in 2 Gorge Commission meetings in April and June, and in person in May. And the May was an absolute highlight because I got to meet the commissioners that I hadn't had the opportunity, most of them, one was not present, was present, but virtually, that I hadn't had a chance to meet yet, and start to form a rapport across the commission, because I think we're all most effective when we are working together to support the intent and spirit of the National Scenic Act. I don't have much to brief today because, which is good news, because we don't have any intangible issues with that relate to Klickitat County, and we'd like to keep it that way as much as possible. But it has been fun to get going and really realize what it's like to be on the listening side of the table. You know it very well, listening and learning, and I see that as what I've spent the last few months doing since I saw you the last time. So I look forward to joining Christina. And yes, I just called Christina too, because the same reason. I look forward to joining Christina to speak with you as often as you'd like to see us, because we do very much want to keep that communication going between the county commissioners and the Gorge Commission. So with that, we're not sure what you're going to ask, so I'll turn the microphone back over to Christina.
Thank you, Commissioner Fowler. And Chair Christopher and Commissioner Zoller, it's really a pleasure to be here, especially wanted to be here in July in order to say a heartfelt thank you to Lee and for facilitating all of our updates over the years. This is now 8.5 years that I've been at the Gorge Commission as executive director. And so every time there was a scheduling, which was pretty much quarterly, first with Carl McNew and then with Sandra Clark. And so we always looked forward to coming up here and talking with you and giving you an update of what we're doing in Klickitat County. So I just have a couple of updates for you that, as Commissioner Fowler said, we don't really have a lot to report at this point. It's kind of a quiet time at the Gorge Commission, which is good. But also it's a quiet time because we are a little bit staff challenged. The good news is that Bryce Gusky, who is the Klickitat County planner on our staff, he was just on a 4-month parental leave because he had his first child, Fletcher, son. And in the meantime, his work was getting covered by one of our other planners, Joanna Kaiserman. But then as soon as Bryce came back last week, then Joanna went out on parental leave. So she's out now for
They
4 months.
coordinate their stuff. That's good.
They did, actually, they're planners. And and then the planner before that was Jessica Olson. She was our natural resources planner, and she was out 4 months before Bryce went out. And so Bryce was covering some of her work.
That
And
would have been a mess if they were all gone at the same time.
yeah, so that's why I was very thankful that they at least, sequenced their starting of their families. Yeah. But so the good news is that Bryce is back now pretty much full-time starting this week. And when I reviewed his workload on Klickitat County permits, he's pretty much right on top of it, where we only have about 4 outstanding permits that we're just waiting for some cultural resources surveys to be completed. And then those 4 permits should be issued sometime this summer. So we're doing pretty well in terms of having cleaned up the backlog over the years of the permits that had been pending. I'm trying to think if there anything else related to the permits. Yeah, I think we're really in pretty good shape for Klickitat County permitting. On a larger basis, we just finished our budget cycle, and we are very appreciative that Washington State essentially approved funding for, continuing our operations, of course, but then also a couple of additional decision packages. However, Oregon did not match them. So the good news is that Washington separately funds the Klickitat County position for the planner position. So it doesn't require any kind of match from Oregon. So that was great that we're good for another 2 years there. The Oregon budget is pretty much just continuing the current service level to keep us at about 7 staff. And then Bryce is our 8th staff person. So in terms of by-state staff, we just have 7 positions that are approved. But the good news, though, is that they did approve the what's called an access database replacement project. And for the first 2 years, we were looking at how do we replace our entire database that's like 15 years old. And as I had told the legislature, that database is so inoperable that it's like trying to text from a rotary phone. It just doesn't have any functionality. It wasn't connected to our GIS services. We had to do everything manually. So anytime we would get permits, whether it's Klickitat County or reviewing the other 5 counties, everything had to be entered manually. And so if you went to our website and you wanted to look something up, it was pretty cumbersome to do that. So we just spent the last 2 years figuring out what kind of configuration we need, how do we actually get into the modern technology era, and most importantly, how do we make our permit system online so that once this new database is going to be implemented in the next 2 years, then if we have any Klickitat County residents who want to build in the scenic area, all they have to do is go online, they can fill out the application, it populates our database automatically. Our staff reports are going to be much much more, not really automated, because we still need to do all the analysis, of course, to meet the management plan requirements, but it's going to be a lot more user friendly. And the data, we can also provide data and populate from the other counties. So if a commissioner like Commissioner Fowler wants to know what are the trends in the National Scenic Area about building, or what about ag land, you know, what about how many new homes are being approved, there's a way of actually querying that and having it linked directly with our GIS system, so that it'll be very user friendly. It'll be much easier on us, but it'll also be much more public facing and interactive. So we're very excited about getting that over the finish line. And both Oregon and Washington did approve that. And they also approved a half-time GIS position. Our GIS position that we have now, his name is Mike Schrenkel. He is only a half-time GIS. And so, you know, everything is GIS. Everything we have to do has to be related to land use planning and mapping. And so we were able to convince the legislatures, both Oregon and Washington, to allow us to increase that half-time position to a full-time position. So I was very happy that both states approved that that funding, but it still keeps us at about now it's 7.5 positions that are by state, plus the one Klickitat County position. They did not fund a climate change planner for us. We spent the last 2 years collaborating with all the counties, with cities, with 4 tribes, as well as all of the stakeholders, and finalized a climate change action plan that I may have mentioned to you in the past. But in order to actually implement that plan and continue working with communities to look at adaptation and mitigation measures, that it really requires a person to be able to do that, and that position was not funded. So Washington approved it, but Oregon did not. So we'll see how we can get some of that work done. We'll just have to rely on our partners a little bit more on that. But if you would like to have more information about the climate change action plan and what was approved by the Gorge Commission, it's non-regulatory. It's really just pretty much guidelines of what can be done in the future with resource protection, but also with mitigation of greenhouse gases. I'm happy to make that presentation to you in the next in our next update.
Yeah, you have, sorry, get closer to my mic. I do have a question. What did you mention how much the new software system you're doing is going to cost?
Yes, the vendors, well, there's a couple of different components to
Ballpark
it.
me.
It's about $1.8 million.
Okay, yeah.
But the actual software part of it, because there's project management, there's our staff costs, and then there's the vendor. And we just last week picked the vendor that is going to be doing the implementation. And that's probably close to $300,000 to get that. It's about a 2-year project.
Yeah, I figured about as much. We're going through a little bit of the same. So yeah, that was kind of what was throwing it out there. No, I think that'll actually be a big help for you guys, but also a big help for the citizens. For ease of applying and maybe checking on where their status is online. And,
yep.
Technology is a good thing. I keep trying to explain to people around here, and that we might want to actually get into the technology era. But sounds like you guys are doing well with that.
Well, we had probably a little bit more of a complicated situation because we were both, because we're by state, we had oversight by the Washington Office of the Chief Information Office, so OCIO and OFM. And then we also had oversight by the Oregon Enterprise Information Services. And so every month for 2 years, we were meeting and going through everything because it's a gated process. And I don't know if the technology project that you're referring to, Mr. Chair, has to go through the gated process through the state. But it's a fun process, and they were very helpful to us. I'm not an IT person, but had to lead this project, and it was great. We had so much help from the state. And if your technology people ever want to talk to myself or Mike Schrenkel, who's our project manager, we'd be happy to, because there have been a lot of lessons learned on what you do and what you don't do when you're trying to do technology, a whole conversion process. Because we had to digitize 35 years of information in our file cabinets, scanning galore, and how we're going to actually be able to get all that converted into the new database is going to be a challenge, but we're very excited that when I'm going to sit here in front of you in a couple of years, be able to do a demonstration of how easy it's going to be to apply for permits and get information that you need.
I like that part, because right now we're upgrading our financial software, and I'm trying to convince the importance of the database and the searchable and upgrading that function, except after what you just said, you might have scared everybody away. So
In terms of,
it's cheap and easy. Don't worry about it.
oh, no, we found the gating process to be very, very helpful, actually. So they were very, very supportive.
I know it's going to be a lot of work, but in the long term, it's going to be beneficial for both the employees of the county and the citizens of the county. It's just a matter of taking on the workload and doing the work and not kicking the can down the road anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry.
To say it'll really enhance transparency too on the process.
Mhm.
And having gone through the application process myself a few years back, I know it's awfully hard to draw a map of exactly where you want your home to be, for example, especially when you're moving it a little bit by a little bit. And so if you can just take the GIS and just plant it, the little design on a map that it's very clear to everybody who has any interest in the matter. And so it's going to be game changing in terms of, as you said, Chair, the citizens and their ability to really convey what they're trying to request and then follow the process through.
Yeah, no, that's good. Only other question I had was, you said your climate action plan, the Oregon didn't cover an employee, so you're going to have outside vendors working this or something like that?
No, we don't have any.
Or somebody else, since you didn't have employee, you were talking about somebody else. What is that somebody else, and what are we talking there?
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry if I wasn't really clear. So in order to implement it, we need to have like a staff person that will do
right.
that. And we were borrowing between all of our existing staff to even just write the plan. But we have to look at that plan now through a different lens of how much of it can be implemented by partners as opposed to by the Gorge Commission. So it's, like I said, it's non-regulatory, it's all voluntary work. So if there are partners, whether it's a local county or local city or different conservation groups or McEd, for example, I mean, there are different aspects of it that could be parsed out to different entities and then see if they're interested in doing that work without our supervision, because we just don't have, you really need a body to be able to do that work. I'm still going to try to get that position funded through maybe short session because there's so many people that are relying on our input that I'm not really sure how we're going to do it. But at this point, it just means that we're slowing down the implementation until we can figure out how to take a stepwise approach to move forward.
Those were my only questions. Do my CVAs have questions?
As that plan kind of rests for a while till you move forward, do you have an idea that you may update it little by little as you go, rather than wait a couple of years, 3 years, and then try to update it? Will you try with staff to keep it kind of current?
Yes, what we have in the plan are different timelines and goals. We drew out a roadmap. If we had a full-time position, what all the different steps are going to be moving forward in the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. But it's very adaptable because it's not regulatory and it doesn't require policy changes per se right now. If there's any adjustments that need to be made, we can do those with the Gorge Commission's approval. So, however, there are some things that might require a policy change in the future. And if that is identified, then it'll become part of the next management plan review process. So we are going to slow it down. But one thing that we did commit to is that on a quarterly basis, we are providing an update to our commissioners on where we are with the climate change plan, and we created something called a dashboard where we identify, basically what the goals are, what the current accomplishments are, and then what the next steps are. And it's really just at a glance. And that's what I would probably share with you at the next meeting. And if we don't make much progress, then it's going to be pretty much the same the next quarter. But our goal is to try to figure out how do we not make this just a plan that lives on the shelf. That was the whole intent, was that it be actionable and that very partner driven.
Listening to you, you're so similar to us, so don't ever feel alone. The IT issues, all very similar to us. And also the family leave. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing, but it's a new journey for employment, for filling the gaps. Yeah.
It is. It's definitely wonderful, especially since I have all younger planners who are starting their families. And it's the benefit that Washington provides for supporting both mothers and fathers it's really very impressive, and it makes for happier employees and, long-term retention. In the short run, though, it's a little bit challenging, to cover the workload. So if we are a little bit behind on something, we hope people understand that and are patient. But we're very happy for people that have the opportunity to take advantage of that parental leave.
Have you read more than you have for years, Val?
I'm familiar with sort of bureaucraties from my past, but I'm now, I have worked my way through what you would call 2.5 inches of a commissioner handbook and then the background. Some of it was familiar to me beforehand, of course, not only studying up, but also going through the process several times. From the other side of the table, as one of the commissioners referred to it. But yes, it's there's a certain way that things like scenic acts are written that is all too familiar for me, and it definitely requires coffee before starting. So yeah, it's been very much
Your
good.
Red Bull.
Or Red Bull that might be too much for me, but it's been great getting up to speed.
Yeah.
It's a lot to learn. And frankly, who would want a job if you can figure it all out in a few weeks, right? Because then you'd be bored the rest of the time. So
That's awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Jake, too.
Easy job sounds kind of good right now. I don't know.
I kind of
commend
miss the
you
boring
and any
part.
volunteers that step forward to sit on these boards that, like yours, isn't like super time consuming, but you need to be able to do your homework. You don't
my
just get to
gosh.
show up on day one and just make willy-nilly votes.
Yeah, it's tough.
You have to put your time in for citizens to care enough about their county and their communities to get involved. It's a pleasure for us to have people like you sit on these boards. I believe Commissioner Anderson had something that I might have walked on him when he was speaking, so.
Well, that's all right. Don't worry about it. I just wanted to say thank you again, Valerie, for showing up and being a part of the board, and for the update today from you both.
thank you. It's a pleasure to see you all again, 2 in person and 1 virtually.
Yes, thank you very much. And I do want to say a very heartfelt thank you for selecting Commissioner Fowler, because she does her homework and has lots of questions. And as the executive director, I always appreciate a very responsive commissioner. So it's my pleasure to share the 480 pages of the management plan and walk her through everything. But all the way up here, we were talking about different scenarios and different issues that have come up. And so I'm very appreciative that you selected her to be on our commission and help us out.
Okay, perfect. And I would like to thank you as well, because it's come to my attention that you've met with one of the citizens of Goldendale and even came up here and had lunch with them a week or so ago to discuss their questions with the Gorge Commission too. So thank you for reaching out to people that aren't even necessarily in the scenic area in helping them with questions they have. So
Well, we're interdependent with each other between the county and the scenic area. We're all one community. So anything I can do to help, I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Anything else from my seatmates? No?
Nothing here.
No, perfect. Thank you, guys. If you don't have anything else from us, if you do, just holler.
Okay,
Or
We're here.
whistle.
Always holler. Other than that, keep going.
thank you so much for the opportunity today and congratulations again, Lee.
Yes, congratulations, Lee. We'll all miss you. No doubt, no
Thank you.
doubt.
She'll be here next Tuesday for citizen comment with a bag of rose and rotten tomatoes. It's my turn. She sits in the audience.
What I've wanted to say for so many
Yeah,
years
right.
is,
I say she could probably write a book and we'd all buy it at this point.
or buy it out before it goes into print.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you both.
afternoon.
If you don't have to be somewhere else either, you're always welcome to stay downstairs and
We saw it,
come in.
Oh,
we
yeah.
saw it on the
Yeah.
great board that you all have downstairs for 3 o'clock.
Isn't that nice? I like
That's
that board.
really nice. It also
Yeah.
tells you the temperature and, you
Yeah.
know, the date and everything. but also-
Reminds me what I'm doing.
Yeah. so
Yeah.
It helps me when I walk past the room and there's a meeting. I'm like, what are they doing in there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you
Good to
both.
see you. Thank you.
Next up, we are off into board pending or any issues by the board that they think are pertinent for this meeting. I always forget until 5 minutes after the meeting's over what I wanted to discuss, and then I have to wait a week, and then I forget the next week too.
Nothing on my
Uh,
list.
I just have one thing. I know you're heading off, Dan, tomorrow. So thank you for spending the next 3 years doing something I'd rather never do.
3 years?
Yeah, you heard what I said
3
there.
days? I actually kind of enjoy that insurance board because I like to play in the minutia of numbers.
And for Lori, I don't know if you have anything tomorrow, but I got invited on the Lupin Community Forest trip. And I didn't see your email address included, so I want to make sure you got that invite. It's a good group of people to get to know, especially the Lupin side, the Conservation Fund group. But what I'm seeing is it's going to be a great trip, it looks like.
I saw that and
I was
it-
gonna say, I think we were all included. I was
Yeah.
thinking about going, but then I'm gone, so
yeah.
I'm gonna miss the Goldendale Reds meeting tomorrow too.
I had a couple of other meetings. Let me see if I can rearrange a little bit for them and then make sure I'm back in time for a Klickitat evening meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, I sometimes it's best to just go to the stops that you see. To cut out all the minutia of the beginnings for those things.
Okay.
I did see they had an itinerary out that each stop was here at this time and
Oh, so you could
whatnot
catch
was
up.
part of that email, so you could
Okay.
technically you could catch up or
Okay.
not carpool because they're all meeting at the fire hall at the
Okay.
beginning.
It
And
was a
so if you
long
don't
day.
carpool, you can cut out early too, so.
And I think they all pretty much overlook your home too, where they've been doing a lot of that work is just up on top of the hill.
Yeah. Above Wakaikas, and I could fit probably a couple of stops in and go back to my other things maybe. But thank you.
I think everything else I mentioned this morning that I had on my list.
Oh, just got an email from Rob.
What is-
Huh?
what is- He's in the back.
Trying to figure out which one that was. Yeah, I'll figure it out on offline.
That was for the if it was the same one I got, it was for interviewing a candidates.
Right, I just didn't know which candidate that was of the two. In my brain, I'll have to go back and look at the list to figure out which one it was. That's all I have. Anybody else has anything? If not, we will we don't have any workshops this week. We don't have any radio this week, right?
We have radio on Thursday, 8:05, it says.
Oh. How am I gonna do that? I guess I can try to call in from up there and step out.
Me?
So put me as a maybe call in on the phone and maybe not call in on the phone. Numbers should be on
Are you gonna
the,
try to call in, Jake? For radio?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
the numbers on the calendar.
Okay,
So just call in from home and we'll all just kind of go that route, but. Yeah, forgot about that. I will try to do that. So.
or I might be up here. We'll see.
That's all I have. If anybody else doesn't have anything, staff have anything? No, Rob's here. You don't have anything? No? All right, I would entertain a motion if we have no further business.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
And I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, everybody in
Thank you, guys.
Zoom land for watching today.
Have fun at the retirement party, everyone.
I'm gonna eat your cake.
You can have all the cake in the world. I don't like it.
I'll leave a piece in your desk.